I was raised in a very loving home, but when I was 9 years old, my baby sister passed away. That loss shattered my family and left me carrying deep depression and anxiety. By the time I was 13, the pain inside felt unbearable, and I tried to take my own life. I hated how I felt, and I hated myself. I've always been sensitive and deeply empathetic, and I spent much of my life searching for love in all the wrong places. At 17, I became pregnant with my daughter, but I was still able to graduate high school. By 18, I married, and by 21, I had my second child. Soon after having him, my marriage ended in divorce because my husband was unfaithful. I was determined to push through and to be a good mom. At the time, I was doing what I thought was right in my own eyes. I knew of God, but I didn't have a personal relationship with Him. Over the years, I continued to chase unhealthy relationships. I married again to a man who was mentally and physically abusive. After a while, this marriage ended in divorce. At 29, I started to attend a church and was radically saved by the grace of God. But after I continued to struggle with depression and anxiety, I was stuck living in a victim mindset. My daughter left to go to college when I was 36. And at the time, my son was a rebellious teenager. And at this point, I lost my way. I tried to fill that void with drinking, going to clubs, and toxic relationships. I started to experience severe nerve pain. And a friend gave me fentanyl to numb the pain. That led to drug use, addiction, and overwhelming guilt. I knew who Jesus was, yet I was still continuing to live in sin. This was one of the darkest times in my life. I overdosed 4 times in 1 year. I was arrested, charged with DUI, and ended up detoxing in jail. But even after all these things, I still kept drinking and using drugs. The chaos continued until eventually my daughter gave me an ultimatum. At the time, she was pregnant with triplet boys. She told me that either I come to the Women's Transformation Program or lose her, and I wouldn't be allowed to be around the grandbabies. So I quit my job. I drove to Olympia and fully surrendered my life to Jesus Christ.